Okay, so are you having a nightmare at bedtime? Do you get really stressed before your kids go to sleep? Are your kids in and out of their room and you're shouting up the stairs and then you're feeling really guilty? If this is your situation, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to feel great about yourself and about your kids' bedtime routine. So for the best law of attraction and parenting advice, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every single Thursday. I'm Jenny and I'm a life coach, a health coach and a law of attraction mentor. And I've been working with clients all over the world for the last 15 years. And I've been helping parents with the relationships with their children. And one of the things that comes up time after time after time is the stress around getting their kids to sleep. Stress around napping, stress around kids waking up too early, stress around kids wanting to stay up late, and the whole thing is a complete mess. One of my clients, for example, she has 5 children and she had really, in her words, strict bedtime routines. But the problem was that the kids really didn't want to be part of these strict bedtime routines, and they'd all get each other out of bed, and this would go on from 7 o'clock to almost midnight every single night, and she was completely stressed out about the whole situation. And it was affecting her weight, it was affecting her relationship with her partner, it was affecting her work, it was affecting absolutely everything. So I'm going to share what I shared with her today, and now she has a really fantastic situation with her 5 kids. They all go to bed at a pretty good time. She has a lot less rules in place, but the whole thing works really smoothly for everyone. So the first thing we need to get over as parents is the idea that every human on the planet needs 9 to 12 hours sleep. So this is a pretty tricky thing to figure out and to understand, but the first thing you need to know is that we are literally all energy. So we are 99.999% energy. That's not something I'm going to talk about a lot in this video, but I will in future videos if you look out for them. The reason adults love to sleep so much is because when we sleep, we drop resistance. So if we're in a bad mood and we take a nap, we tend to wake up feeling better. Or if we've gone to bed in a really bad mood, we tend to wake up feeling better in the morning. So the human body actually needs a lot less sleep than we think it does. But as adults, because we tend to hang out on the lower half of the scale more regularly, we feel a lot better when we sleep more. However, our lovely little darlings who tend to hang out on the top half of the scale a lot more, they tend to need a lot less sleep. And for them, sleep can sometimes be boring. They might want to be doing fun games or various things at night. And then how do you work all of that, into a family situation? Potentially the kids have got to go to school in the morning, maybe you've got to go to work. And so how can everybody have their needs met? So that's what I'm really going to talk about in this video today. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to get over our stress and our fear and our anxiety around not sleeping. Because nobody is going to die from not getting 8 hours sleep a night. So I'm going to shock you a little bit here because I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and from day one we really decided that we were never going to have any rules with our children. So my kids, as I said, are 3 and 6, and from day one they've decided what time they wake up, what time they go to bed, what they eat, wait for this shocking part, whether they brush their teeth or not, I'll do a whole video on that, whether they have showers, whether they go to school, what they do. So we home educate, we actually do something called self-directed learning, or some people call it unschooling, which I'll talk about in future videos, but we give our kids complete freedom. The first time people actually hear that, they usually say, oh my goodness, your house must be complete and utter chaos. And no, it's not. So do my children go to bed at 9 o'clock every night? No, they don't. Sometimes they will go to bed at 8 for months on end. Sometimes they will go to bed, wait for it, between midnight and 2 a.m, which is quite shocking for people. But they will tend to get actually their 8 to 12 hours because they will often sleep in if they go to bed late until lunchtime. Now, of course, we have a setup because my partner and I work together in our business. We do 2.5 days each. The one who's not working the next day tends to stay up. So we do have a situation that lends, to this kind of setup. I'm not for a second saying that if you have children who go to school that you should let them stay up until 4 in the morning, although it might not be a bad idea, tomorrow and just let them figure out that they're tired at school, and then the next day they'll self-regulate. So by the end of this video, find a nice happy medium for yourself. So if you have a regular bedtime routine for your kids that's really working, you know, that's great. But if you sometimes find you have conflict at the weekend because they want to stay up a bit later, or one night in the week they want to stay up a bit later, you might feel a bit more relaxed about that by the end of this video. Freedom doesn't equal chaos. Society has led us to believe that freedom equals chaos. But think about how you feel when someone tells you what to do, especially when they're coming from, if you look on the screen right now, the bottom half of the scale. So it's really important with children to constantly have in mind, am I encouraging right now, or am I demanding? Encouraging comes from the top half of the scale, demanding comes from the bottom half of the scale. And when we demand someone to do something, we can get them to do it, but they'll never feel good about it. They'll never feel free, they'll never feel inspired. But encouraging from the top half is a whole different thing. Now this is the point that I really need to explain in detail, so listen up. If we encourage, but emotionally we're actually demanding, so we're saying, come on, sleep is wonderful, let's go and have fun, let's read a nice story, but really we're feeling, I'm so angry and irritated, I wish you'd get the heck to bed, that won't work. But if we do a little bit of work a couple of hours before bedtime, and I'm going to teach you a process in a few months called the emotional scale, and we drop a little bit of stress around bedtime, then we can authentically use some words to match what we want. So we can say things like, you know, I love to sleep. I love the comfort of my bed. I love to relax and feel refreshed in the morning, and sleep's a great thing. And then if we actually feel that way because we've done a little bit of preparation, our children will listen, because our children want to be like us. They want to be independent, they want to feel good, and they do actually want to do things that adults do. Okay, so this technique is called the emotional scale process, and it's from Esther Hicks. I've got it on my phone here. So I'm just going to walk you through the process, and the link for the emotional scale is below, and also you can see the scale on the screen right now. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to figure out where you are in the moment. So let's start right at the bottom and say that you feel completely powerless and fearful about your children not going to bed on time and not getting enough sleep yourself. So you make a statement, you just say, I feel completely powerless about the whole sleep situation. Then you go up a notch, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness. If I let them stay up, I feel really guilty that they're not getting enough sleep and that I'm not being a good mother, father. I'm jealous of all those other people who seem to have nailed this whole bedtime routine and seem to be way better parents than I am, and the kids love them more. Right, there's that jealousy statement. Hatred and rage. I hate this whole situation. I hate shouting at them. I hate the reaction I get from them. I hate trying to control them. It actually feels terrible. Then we go up to revenge. No one ever wants to make the revenge statement because we're taught that revenge is ugly, not pretty. We shouldn't ever feel vengeful. But revenge is up from powerlessness. It is on the way to feeling better. We don't want to stay in revenge for 10 years, but moving up step by step is the way to feeling better. So, revenge. Ugh, it'd be so much better if I didn't have kids and I were just single again. No one wants to say it, do they? But tell me you haven't thought that at times. That is the revenge process. If only I were just single again, or I could just disappear to a hotel right now, that would be heavenly. Right? Tell me you haven't thought that. Maybe I'm the only person in the world who's thought that. Angry. I'm really angry that they won't go to bed right now. I feel totally discouraged because this has been going on forever. Blame, be honest here. I blame them in this moment, and I blame myself for getting so stressed. I'm worried this is never going to change and these kids are going to be up all night. I'm doubting this process. I'm doubting that this process is really going to change anything. I'm disappointed that I'm in this situation every single night, night after night. I find the whole thing about sleep completely overwhelming. I don't know whether to try to force them to bed or just to let it go. And then I think about the consequences and what will teachers think about me if my kids are falling asleep in school. The whole thing's completely overwhelming. I'm really impatient to sort this out. Then we go to pessimism. Pessimism is kind of like a grumbly emotion. It's sort of like, I can't see this ever changing. Boredom. Now this is the tipping point. And this is where we are absolutely sick to death of the whole situation and we're ready to let it go. And that's when things begin to change. So I'm done with this whole sleeping thing. Now you've really got to focus into a feeling of contentment. And if you cannot find a contenting thought about this topic of sleep, choose a contenting thought about anything. So you could say, I'm contented that Jenny seems to think there's a solution here and it seems to have worked for her and other clients. I'm hopeful that maybe this new way of looking at sleep will work for me. I'm optimistic that if it's worked for other people, it could work for me. Positive expectation, belief. I know I love my children. I know they're good kids. I know deep down that I'm a good person and I'm a good mother. So maybe this can work out. I'm eager to find a solution. Passion. I'm passionate about my children. I'm passionate about my family. And the top one, joy, appreciation, empowerment, knowledge, freedom, love. There's so many things I can appreciate about these amazing children. I can appreciate how full of life they are. And if I remember back to when I was a kid, I definitely didn't want to go to bed. I hated going to bed on those summer evenings, this in the UK, when it's really light outside. And what was I doing in bed at 8 o'clock? It just never made sense to me. And I appreciate the fact that they're so full of life and they're free and they're happy, and I just love them. So that's the emotional scale in action for you there. And if you were to do that in the morning or a few hours before bed on the topic of sleep, and you tried that for 30 days, it's my absolute guarantee that the whole situation would change for you. And before long, your children would say, I've seen it with my clients. The lady that I started off telling you about, she said her kids would literally just start saying, I feel really tired now, I'm going to go up and brush my teeth and just go off to bed, because they didn't feel that forced pressure to have to go to bed at a certain time, because nobody likes to be told what to do. Okay, so check out these next videos on how to potty train and how to deal with kids' tantrums. And if you really enjoyed this video today, please hit the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, and look out for future videos.